Hello, I'm Deborah Sword. We have a great question from a listener. What does it mean to ask good questions? When I try to express curiosity in a conflict, my questions still sound judgmental. The listener already has the first part of the conflict competency, which is default curiosity rather than judgment. But the listener says that curious questions still sound judgmental. So, what might be happening? I'll digress for a minute. If you search for characteristics of a good question, you'll get a healthy list of word choices to compose sentences as questions. The components of a good question as a conflict competency are all those characteristics for word choices and sentence framing, plus three other components. And they are: one, how you ask your question; two, the impact of your question on your listener; and three, the intention your question carries. And that's in addition to the actual words used. Let's look at those. Number one, how you ask the question. Questions carry emotions. Think of any movie or TV scene where someone asks a question. Depending on the scene, the question might come across as gentle and comforting, angry and defensive, competitive and deceptive, or loving and funny, or loving and deceptive. Brittle words like you always and you never can leak into your question. Words don't have to be brittle to sound unintentionally accusatory. Questions can slant to get the answer you prefer or to seek agreement with you, such as where you make a statement but frame it as a question. In my workshops, I call questions that begin with the word why lazy questions. A why question in conflict can convey an accusation. It can also get a lazy answer. Lazy answers are because, which is an excuse, or I don't know, which is a dead end. I'll put the URL in the show notes of the post I wrote on why the word why almost always is the wrong question in conflict. The conflict competency is to check in with your emotions so that your question conveys goodwill. If you're feeling cornered, it'll show. You might say, I'm feeling defensive and I want to understand your perspective, and then ask your good question. Number two, the impact of your question on your listener. Questions get reactions. You can't control anyone's reaction to your question or their interpretation that's filtered through their unique experience. But you can control your tone of voice, facial expression, and body language, and when you ask the question. Conflict happens over time, whether it's minutes or lifetimes. It's never too late to ask what the other person cares about. You change over time, so do they. Asking a question at one point in a conflict can diffuse it. Asking the same question at another time may need trust building to set the stage. The conflict competency: listen to the answers to your question and adjust to fit the new information. You might say, from what you said, what options do you want me to consider? And then ask your good question. Number three, the intention your question carries. Questions seek information in conflict. What do you want the information for? Is it to understand them or to attack their credibility and their position so you can show they're wrong? Your intention can leak into your question. If you're defending your position, you want to ask questions to get to their weakness, and your question is to help you argue better. The conflict competency: let your question convey your good intention. You might say, I'm interested in understanding this better, so can you share? And then ask your good question. The actual words used, you've searched for and have the list of characteristics of a good question as a sentence. The conflict competency is to use the sentences from that search engine as the starting point for your good question in conflict. The search engine will give you a good list, but it isn't enough. In summary, curiosity, not judgment, also means checking your emotion and for what's leaking into your sentence, what intention you're conveying in your question, and how your question lands on the listener. Conflict is a time series, not a point in time. When and how often you ask good questions is another conflict competency. Thank you for that great question. Thank you for listening. We hope you'll subscribe to the podcast, like it, share it, ask good questions, leave comments. We love to hear from you. Thank you.